Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you today?
Oh, yeah, there is sound. Yeah, not too bad, thanks. How are you?
I'm awesome, thank you.
Very good. Very good.
Particularly since my team thrashed Roma last night, 6-2.
6-2. Wow.
After being 2-1 down, quite a comeback.
Who's your manager at the moment?
Ole Gunnar Solskjaer.
Oh, right. Okay.
Scored the final goal in the Champions League final in '99.
I watched that. Is that when they came back from 2-0 down to win 4-2?
No, they were 1-0 down and they came back to win 2-1.
Right.
Against Bayern Munich, and but they were 1-0 down right to the end of the game, to the point where the match officials in the stand had actually tied the Bayern Munich ribbons onto the trophy, ready to present it to them. And then Beckham took a corner, and United scored from Teddy Sheringham, actually.
Yep.
Turned it in, and then I thought, that's it, great, it's going to go to extra time now.
Yeah.
And then right in the dying, like practically the last kick of the game, Ole scored the winning goal.
Super sub Ollie, wasn't he?
Yeah.
That during that time, yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Notice it only lets you admit one person at a time. So I went to try and click the second admission, and it wouldn't do it until it had finished thinking about the first one.
Ah.
Good morning, ladies.
Morning.
They're all pouring in now.
Good evening. It's not morning for me.
Oh yes, I keep forgetting about that. I just assume where I am.
It's morning everywhere.
It's 7:30 at night here.
Well, you know what? It's actually still last night for me, because I've been up all night watching the soccer.
Ah. Oh my gosh, Veronica! I'm so excited to see you.
It's been all year, I think. I don't know if I've seen you much at all this year.
No, I don't think so. I mean, Glenn, I've seen on and off. Kim, I've seen on and off. Julie, yes.
Morning, welcome everybody. There's more.
It really is lovely.
Here.
Oh, look at this.
I'm just
What a nice group.
Yes, we have a good sized group this morning, as we did last week, actually.
For Kim's driving, she says.
Yep, Kim's driving, so she's focused on driving as she should be.
Yeah, that's probably a good
Hello,
idea.
everyone. I didn't want to miss the chance to be with you, but I will keep my eyes on the road and my camera off.
Yes, good idea.
Very sensible.
Like the song says, keep your eyes on the road and your hands on the wheel. Hands upon the wheel.
Hi.
Yeah, let it
I'm
roll.
listening to you now.
Hi, Coralie.
Hi.
My goodness me, we're getting a full house, aren't we?
Yes.
Now, does anyone know?
Dan and Kobe. Hi, everybody.
Does anyone know how to make somebody else a co-host?
Yeah, you have to press on their name, like the picture. You go to the 3 dots and you make them co-host.
All right, Glenn, do you want that responsibility?
Oh, go on then.
Since you were first on, I'll make you just in as a backup in case, and also if somebody is trying to get in and I don't see it or whatever.
Yeah.
We've got a couple more still who said they were coming, so we may end up with more on the call yet. But great to see you all. What a turnout this morning.
It's a good turnout for Friday. Thursday.
Yeah.
Friday.
Well, it's Thursday. For me, so.
Sorry.
Friday.
And it's Thursday for Kim also.
Yeah.
We're just ahead of our time in Western Australia,
But Julie's
Yeah.
more ahead of us.
I'm even ahead of you. Sometimes a curse because everyone else is doing something else or asleep, because we get it first. It's really much earlier.
Like New Year's Eve, for example, your fireworks are going off.
Yeah, and the millennium, we were first to see the millennium.
We put you through that one first. Just to make sure
Check
you're
out the
all right.
Sorry, what was that?
Bugs. We put you through that first to check out the bugs in the millennium.
Right, I'm just going to give everybody a number because I'm just trying to get myself organized here. So Glenn was on first, so he can be number 1. I can't remember. I think Vicky was number 2, maybe. Anyway,
Sure.
Vicky
Doesn't
goes
matter to
number
me.
2. I'll just go around in order of who I see on the screen now. So Julie, number 3. Number 4, Veronica. Number 5, Stan the Man.
Mhm.
Number 6, Kobe. 7, Dr. Kim.
No,
Kim,
Except
I'm going to read
she's
it.
driving.
Sorry,
She's driving.
Forgot about that.
Got to be you.
I'm just thinking, last week, we had John Williams and Joe on the call, and they both said they were looking forward to it. So I'm just wondering if they, anyway,
Wait a
maybe
minute. Do you want me to message?
Joe,
if
Joe,
they're able to, they
Joe
might-
is aware of it. He's coming. He said he is.
Yeah, that's what I
Okay.
thought. So
John also said he was, because he put something in the group.
yeah, he put that he's been looking forward to it all week. That was only this morning. So
Maybe they got the times wrong.
yeah.
You never know.
Pat, send them
Anyway.
anyway. You want me to
I'll-
send them one?
If you wouldn't mind, that'd be great. So I can.
Okay, I'll do that now.
Yes, thank you so much. See, teamwork. That's what it's all about. It's all about teamwork. All right. Well, we'll start anyway. We'll get the. I'll bring up.
Sorry, did you give Coralie a number? I haven't got Coralie written down on my list.
Number 7. Who am I
Yeah,
missing?
We're not. Well,
Me.
technically 9,
I'm
but
missing
Kim
me.
is driving.
Okay, it's me. That's who's missing. Number 8. I'll be number 8.
Coralie was 7. Yeah.
And Dr. Kim can have a pass on this one since she's driving. Some excuse. I don't know. Gee. Okay. Glenn. Oh, sorry. I better share the screen.
Yeah, can you put the screen up?
That'll help, won't it?
I've been doing it long enough, but I can't recite it just yet.
Well, that's just poor. You should all
I know, I'm sorry.
Up by now.
Sorry. Must try harder.
All right.
Okay. The Mastermind principles. The purpose of the Mastermind is to learn leadership, build teams, and create multiple sources of income together.
We are here to inspire and challenge each other to reach and exceed goals.
Oh my goodness, and I'm sending messages. Can someone else do it?
That's not what it says.
It doesn't say that at all.
Hang on, I'm back. So, number 3. Each member is committed to their own success, as well as the success of every member of the group.
We are committed to meeting in person or virtually for 1 hour every week.
We are present. There is no multitasking or distractions during the meeting.
We are collaborative. We listen without interrupting, lecturing, or judging.
We celebrate each other's successes without jealousy.
We are honest and participate by giving thoughtful feedback.
We are open and listen to different perspectives without being defensive or offering excuses.
We trust fellow members enough to share fully.
Oh my goodness, is it me again?
Yes.
I've just sent that last message. I'm away. Go right on me.
No worries.
Well, we know you're ahead of your time, Julie. So we're expecting great things from you.
I shouldn't have offered so generously to send the message because I'm a bit slow. Anyway, which one are we up to? Sorry.
11.
11. We are
Yep.
focused, but we also think it's important to have fun during meetings.
Yay.
We are real and authentic. This is a no BS zone.
We allow ourselves to become completely aligned with each other and the high forces: one mind, one soul, one love.
Noble Goldman International is a conscious, aware, and engaged global community of abundance and freedom creators.
Our mission is to create 1 million millionaires who are free from the time for money paradigm. We focus on creating multiple streams of income through masterminding, team building, and the effective utilization of the internet-based platforms.
The mastermind becomes an opportunity for self-mastery, where the self-transcendent shift from the me to the we to the us occurs. As congruence and engagement increases, The world's consciousness is then raised, one meaningful and inspired relationship at a time. Hey, well done. Thank you everyone for getting through that. And I see we have also Julia has joined us. So welcome, Jules.
Morning,
Lovely
Jules.
to see you on the call. I think this is your first Noble Goldman attendance, isn't it?
First Friday one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, welcome aboard. Good to see you.
Thank you. Just made it to miss the round, but I'm here.
Oh well, never mind. Jules just down the road from us in Perth, in Western Australia, as are Glenn and B and Stan. And then we've got a couple of Kiwis, a Canadian, someone from the dark side of Australia there, and
Veronica, doesn't she live in Australia?
Yes.
Yep.
V.
Okay.
People call me V. I should put that on my thing.
Oh,
Yeah,
V. I'm sorry.
And we've got a Yank as well, but although she's driving, so we'll have a quiet one there. Okay.
A Yank.
A Yank.
So I should tell you I'm dual, so I'm Yank and Canadian. But right now I'm Canadian.
Does that mean you're afraid of the dark? I heard all Canadians were afraid of the dark. Is that right?
Nope, absolutely not.
I think that came out of How I Met Your Mother, didn't it? The girl in that was totally afraid of the dark. Anyway.
Okay, let's go back to Think and Grow Rich.
Moving right along. Okay, well, welcome everybody. It's great to see so many happy, smiling faces first thing on a Friday morning. And now, let's put people on the spot, shall we? Shall we put people on the spot? Is anyone willing to admit that they haven't read chapters 3 and 4 yet? And there's no.
Oh wait, no, I read chapter 3, but not 4.
Okay. Only half a star for you then. Okay, no, that's fine. That's fine. And Julie, did you?
Not this week.
Julie, did you manage to get a copy of the book yet?
No.
And Jules, no, you haven't.
No.
Well, okay, it doesn't matter. As I said on the message I sent out, it doesn't matter if you haven't read it. Obviously, it's good if you can go back and read it. But now you've got 4 chapters to catch up on, but that's okay. Read it in your own time. It's fine, because the conversation and the contributions from everyone will, pull you along anyway, and you'll be able to pick up the gist of what's going on. So don't worry about that. And there's no naughty corner here. You don't have to go and stand in the naughty corner or anything with the cone of shame on your head or anything like that. So, okay, without further ado, chapter 3, which was entitled Faith. So a very interesting chapter. Who'd anyone like to start off with their thoughts, their main pickups from that chapter? Any volunteers?
Can somebody do a précis of it?
Okay.
Sorry.
Go on, Kobe.
Okay.
I just got from it that, most of us know all of this in practice, in theory, but haven't actually practiced all of this. And particularly the emotion part of it, adding the emotion to the goals, to all of that. For example, there's I can't remember who wrote it, but that little statement, every day in every way, I'm getting better and better. I've known that for years and years and years.
I actually wrote that. It was me.
You did not.
He wrote it down, he didn't write it the first time.
It's mentioned in the book, Tony. Therefore,
I taught Napoleon everything he knows.
Of course, in another life.
Previous life.
But anyway, what I'm trying to say is I've known that. I've been saying it occasionally, but as he points out, that it's not going to work really unless you do it consistently as an automatic kind of thing and add emotion to it. And so that was my biggest takeaway from that, it's not okay to know it intellectually. You actually need to put it in practice and on a consistent basis. And he's saying morning and night, and have those firm goals in place. We've all known that too. but you know, writing the goals down, it just doesn't cut the mustard really. So yeah.
Okay, Kobe, thank you. That's a great share, great start off, and you've probably scared the others away from reading it completely now. Yeah. No, look, in all seriousness, I will do a quick recap because I think this just will help to bring those other people up to speed. Because in chapter 1, he started off with talking about that thoughts are things. That was the name of the chapter, right? So the concept that everything we create in this world, in this universe, begins with somebody thinking it. You know, there's a building on the street corner, it's there because somebody had the idea, let's put a building there. If there's a chair in your house that you're sitting on right now, it's because someone said, let's invent a chair. It's a lot more comfortable than sitting on the floor, and so on. So
Can I just interrupt for a moment, Tony?
Yeah,
Joe's
Joe.
just come through
Yep.
saying Zoom won't let him in.
Oh, okay.
It's saying invalid ID.
All right, Stan's helped him out.
Good on
Oh,
you.
perfect. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Just on that, if you ever get that, what it is sometimes Zoom has a blockage around Facebook links. So sometimes you're best to get the actual meeting ID number. And when you go to join a meeting, there's a drop down box you can click on, which actually remember the last probably 9 or so meetings that you've attended. But if you can remember just those digits of or log it somewhere, if you're organized.
I always
There's
put
some
the link in my
organized people
Google
on the
Calendar.
I don't know who they are, but if there are some organized people on the call,
I always put the link in my Google Calendar.
those organized people will have that code written down, and you can actually just enter the meeting ID code, and then it gets you around that Facebook link blockage issue. So K5, is that Joe?
It's K51, yeah, some random.
K51. Sorry, the one was hiding under my chat box. All right. So yeah, back to where we were up to. So the thoughts are things. So everything starts with a thought, starts in your mind as a thought, right? Any creation, any idea. Then chapter 2 is about desire. It was about like the turning that thought into an actual desire, having particularly obviously focusing on money. But as I said right at the very beginning of last week, the book itself has been misinterpreted by some people as being just all about money. It's not. It's also about richness in life quality, richness in friendships, in spirit, in health, in general wellness. It applies to everything. There is a tendency to bring up money quite a bit because, hey, money's kind of up there with oxygen. We all need it to get by, don't we? So that's why I think, and also the time, bearing in mind the era that this was written in as well, and the whole concept of it, of going and interviewing industrialists and finding out why they were successful, what they had done to get to where they are, is what prompted the whole writing of the book in the first place. So that's why there's a bit of a tendency towards focus on money. So when we go into chapter 3, then it talks about faith. So faith in your ability to actually pull off whatever it is your aspiration is. Now, we all know from our own past lives that when you really want something and you really focus on it and you really desire it with all your heart, and you're willing to put in the work and pay the price of whatever it takes to get that result, you will get that outcome. Welcome to Joe. He's on his phone. That's great. Just seeing that in the chat box. So we'll get you to chip in at some point, Joe, when you're ready, if you're able to. So so that's what chapter 3 is all about. Faith. We'll do a quick précis of chapter 4 when we get to that in a minute. But so faith is about not just having the thought, but then adding your emotion to it, adding the feeling, because it's that feeling where you really desire it. Otherwise, what tends to happen if you just think, yeah, it would be quite a good idea if I won lotto, that would be great. You know, if I was to make $1 million, yeah, I'll make $1 million somehow. I don't know how I'm going to do it. And yeah, but someday I'll do it and it'll just turn up and I don't really have to do anything. It doesn't work like that. You've got to know why you want it. What's important about it? What are you going to do with it? You know, who are you going to help? And what's that going to feel like? And the more you actually emotionalize it and internalize it, the more it becomes a reality. Then he goes on to say that your subconscious mind will give you back the plan. So don't even worry about the plan of how you're going to do it. If your why is strong enough, you can pull it off. That's my quick summary of it. Now, please feel free to add or, you know, put your interpretations on whatever you picked up from it.
well, I didn't read it, but I'm just listening to it. And I've heard that many, many times for years and years, and thought I have done this many, many times for years and years. But I think it's subtle. And I think that writing it all down and imagining it, can very easily come from a place of not having it. Do you know what I mean? This desperate sort of desire to have it. And that is actually promoting the feeling of not having it, you know, the lack of it. Do you know what I mean? This to sort of be too focused on the lack of it, and there's a desperateness about it, you know, I need to have this. And that can often do the opposite thing. The thing is, I think, and I'm a great Abraham fan. The thing is to try and maintain that joyful, it doesn't matter whether it's smelling a flower or eating chocolate, to maintain that lovely warmth feeling of deservedness is probably the secret, I think. And I've been through stages of just nearly grinding myself to a frazzle, writing down goals and trying to get into the feeling of, just imagine having it, and it didn't work. I think it probably worked just the opposite. So I think there's more to it that we're finding, and it's a different time then. I think people didn't even know about gold so much then. Yeah, that's where I'm at, and I'm very careful not to be desperate. And then they say, yes, set the goal, feel it, and then let go and trust, you know. But all these things are pretty subtle, and, you know, our souls are pretty cunning. They'll they'll detect an insincerity because maybe if the person doesn't feel deserving, you know, no matter how many sort of things they desire, if they don't think they deserve them, they won't even see them, let alone receive them. Maybe that's just some ideas.
No, that's a great observation, Julie. And some of what you've just raised is sort of addressed in the next chapter, which we'll come to in a moment. You've really raised some good points there, because I think probably most of us on the call could say at times that we've set goals, and then you know, your ego kicks in. When I say ego, I mean that part of your mind that tries to keep you safe, and it kicks in and sort of goes, well, you know, are you really serious about that? You're not going to actually do that, are you? You know, or who are you to think you can do that? Or so all that sort of self-doubt creeps in. And so, yes, Napoleon Hill does sort of hammer the point in this chapter that we must actually believe it. And this is one of the great things about what we're all doing here with Noble Goldman, is the self-mastery work that we're doing, is we're working on our ability to actually create goals and believe in our capacity to follow through and achieve them. If we're still working, like you said, from a place of begging almost, I was reading, it might have been Joe Dispenza's book, when he talked about prayer as being, if it's in the form of sort of begging for things from your Almighty, whatever that is for you, whether it's the universe or God or whatever other name you call it, if you're begging, then you're not really sort of putting the work in to actually do it. You have to tap into the quantum fields that are out there and choose the future that you want and believe in it, so that you convince. And why repetition is so important is that you do, yes, you said the subconscious mind has tricks. It does, but you can also trick your subconscious mind. I say trick in inverted commas, but you're programming your subconscious mind to fully believe in a future that you have created. And then your subconscious mind can't tell the difference between a real future and an imaginary. Well, there is no real future because it hasn't happened yet, is it? So your imaginary future becomes real, and it treats it as if it's the past, as if you've already done it, it's already happened. But that takes work on all our parts to program ourselves for that. V, please add to that.
Yes, I very much agree with Julie's comments, and I think it is very much a work in process that we all are, and each time you practice it, it gets better. So, and each time you think you've got it, have another go and you'll get a bit further. That's what I found. one of the things with the subconscious mind, yeah, I've noticed just doing processes with Gary or even practicing with other coaches is when you're accessing your subconscious mind, and you can approach the problem and go, okay, well, here I need to forgive someone. And you're saying it and you know that that's what you need to do, but then you do the process and you access your subconscious mind and you emotionalize it. And when you come out of it, your whole body knows what that means. And knowing that feeling, which is just so hard to describe, but you just know it and you can hear it in people's voices, you can see it in their posture, that when they finally get what they've been saying and actually embodying it, it's a completely different place to come from.
Yep, very much so. Well said, V.
I'll say, and that there's a sincerity, isn't there? There's sort of, I mean, you can set your goals and you can do the same thing pounding away, but something's missing, you know, and it becomes to the point where you're almost, it's like cleaning your teeth. You're no longer conscious of it. You're doing it, but the heart isn't engaged in some form, or the self-belief or the surrender, you know, those parts where trust is implicit, you know, it's really, really important, and it's subtle. And but if there's, like V has just said, if there's a part of you that doesn't feel deserving or is hurt still or wounded, then, you know, that even the desires come from a wounded base, maybe, you know, so therefore it's, I don't know, I'm sort of processing this as I'm saying it.
No, you're quite right. You're quite right.
I'm wondering why I'm not rich.
Yet. Add yet onto the end of that sentence, lady.
I did.
Good.
I did. I've been adding yet onto it for many years.
Okay, what if you looked at it that you already are rich in terms
now
of your friendships and your health and
experiences
you live and your wisdom that you've accumulated and your new community that you have around you?
Oh, I do. I love all that, but I want some spondulics as well.
Well, that's coming. It's catching up. It's coming when you're ready for it. So are you ready?
I
Who's
think
ready?
so.
Any of us ready?
Ready to be ready to be ready.
Ready for the readies.
Can I speak to this for a moment?
Sure.
I raised my hand. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I want to speak to this before I get in the dark. I can't even dare talk while I drive. It occurs to me that I want to build on what Julie said, which is before I fell in love with myself, the goals I created were to fill that void. And even when I achieved them, I still felt empty inside. And I've learned over the years that loving myself makes so much more possible. And the goals I have now are very different than the goals I had when I was trying to fill that hole that nothing could fill but loving myself. And I used to think that it would take forever to fall in love with myself, to really love myself deeply and unequivocally, no matter what. And yet, I think Julie can attest to this because we've been in a mastermind for the past month that's called Fall in Love with You. It's actually called that in the public part of Noble Goldman. And Julie, it doesn't take forever, does it?
No, I've just got to get it consistent. But it's certainly 10 times better.
That's a great comment. Thanks, Dr. Kim. I agree with you. I certainly agree with you there. But that's what we're doing the work on ourselves for. And if you are carrying those wounds, if you are carrying that lack of self-belief, then yes, it is hard to write down a goal and just automatically assume that you can make it happen when you doubt yourself. Kobe, you've been waiting patiently.
Oh, it's okay. I think too there's technology to help us as well now that wasn't there then. I use my Healy a lot, and there's a frequency. I can't remember what it is. I'm not good with numbers. But a frequency, an abundancy frequency that healer uses as well. They have, it's an abundance resonance that they invite people to join and to feel the frequency of abundance and so on. And I've got that on my Healy, and it's a lovely, lovely feeling as well. So that helps remove a lot of blocks and so on as well. So as I said, people in Healy, they invite people to join the abundance, but I've got it on my Healy so I can do it myself. But the other thing that I wanted to say with all of this is that the consistency part of it, I actually didn't understand what a lot of this meant when I first heard these things, and I didn't embody them. I think that's the way, I think that's probably what I needed to say. I didn't embody it. So it was an intellectual in the head thing. Teachers are so good at that, you know, intellectualizing everything and not embodying it in your heart. And what Kim has said too, that involves that self-love and that self-care and all of that as well. So, and the other thing that they mentioned was, or that was mentioned, was that total commitment to ourselves. So I've been flitting around doing a bit of this and doing a bit of that and so on and so forth, but not really, it's been a wanting more than a commitment. And so now I really like this book. I think it explains it all so well. And I was offered a summary of the chapters and so on, but I actually enjoy reading the whole thing. I've only read the first 4 chapters, and the book that I've got's got a very lengthy introduction to it as well. But I think it's worth really reading and rereading and getting into the whole feel of what he's saying, because I don't think there's any shortcuts to this. You know, I think this is something where we embody, where we, like in chapter 4, he talks about how we embody it in so many ways. But I just wanted to say there are faster, easier ways than what he's mentioned. Well, he's probably not clairvoyant and probably didn't know what would be seen in the future. But the bottom line is there are faster ways you can do it. And I am just reading the first 4 chapters, I've realized where I've made a mistake. And it's never a mistake, I get that too, but where I have not embodied it, I've not committed, and so on. And that has to change. If I want my circumstances to change, I have to change my whole approach, and the messages that I put out there in the ether has to change.
Yes, we do all have to change. I'd just like to pick up on that was very good, Kobe. I just want to pick up on a quick point that Joe's raised in the chat box there. And it's the word unconditionally. I love what you put there, Joe, that it's taken you, I'll just bit off my screen, 37 to 38 years to love yourself unconditionally. Yeah. So that work that we have to do on ourselves, when we love ourselves, we start to, it's just like an upward spiral. You talked about vibration. You know how some people walk into a room and they light up the room because they've got that energy about them? Mm-hmm. And then there's other people who walk into the room and you go, I wish they hadn't walked into the room. Now, it's, we can work on that. We can all snap ourselves out of a bad mood, or snap ourselves out of being grumpy because we can't find something, or the things didn't go the way we wanted it to go. And we can put ourselves back into a positive mood, and we can raise our vibrational level by working on our own emotions, by working on responding rather than reacting. And a lot of that becomes easier the more you like yourself, love yourself, And that doesn't mean love yourself as in becoming so big-headed you can't get your head through the door. It means just being at peace and at ease with your magnificence, because every single one of you is magnificent. You know, just existing. Like, what's the chances of you even existing? You know, how many sperm went running up there trying to get into that into that egg? You know, just for you to even exist, that you are a miracle. So we don't give ourselves enough credit for who we are. We're our own worst critics, right? We're always going, oh, you should have done that. Why'd you do it, you idiot? You've done it again. And that sort of stuff, that little voice that's playing all the time in your head. So when you can love yourself, the more you can work on loving yourself unconditionally, the more you're open and receptive to this kind of thing. But you also have to do the work. You can't shun that, you know, you can't just wish it to happen. You've got to do the work on yourself, and you've got to do the work on creating the life that you want. This is why I've called it that, creating your ideal life, because it is about you defining and designing what you want. Now, I'll ask you this, and I'm not going to put anybody individually on the spot here, but have any of you ever read something like, for instance, chapter 3, chapter 4 of Napoleon Hill's book here, and it tells you to do something like write down what you want and repeat it morning and night? Have we all followed those instructions to the letter? I wonder.
We just keep
Well,
it here.
you see, the thing is,
Not commitment.
it works. This is stuff that actually works. And you know, if you've achieved some great things in your life, and I'm sure that you will have of some area, something that you've achieved, whether it's getting a degree or finding the partner of your dreams or getting that job you wanted, whatever it was, you wanted it, you desired it, you thought about it. So it became your dominant thought. Now, what he's saying is he's giving you tools here. He's saying if you repeat that, if you write it out properly, and then you repeat that morning and night, what are you doing? You're putting it into your dominant thoughts. And this is nothing new. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman philosopher, was talking about, you know, you become what you think about. The more you think about what it is that you desire, the more you become that person. And remember, it's about who you become. You have to become the person that's deserving of that thing. So yes, Kobe, you have to change. If you want more, you have to be more. You have to grow into the kind of person. If you want to, like, say you want to run a business empire, that doesn't happen overnight. You have to do the work, and you have to learn how to become a person who is capable of running a business empire. If you want to learn how to play the guitar, you have to practice. You have to learn how to become the professional guitarist, you know? So we're all a work in progress, and be kind to yourself, because we're all on that journey, and none of us are perfect yet. Well, there's not many of us around, and but we're getting there, aren't we? We're all working on it. So yes, follow the instructions and you will increase your chances of success. If you haven't yet read this chapter or these 2 chapters and thought, I better update my vision plan of what I want, because I even did that this morning myself when I reread it. I was looking at it going, you know, we'll come to that now in chapter 4, but I've got a pretty clear vision statement of what I want, but it's a bit vague actually, because I haven't put a specific dollar amount. Now, I used to sort of scoff a little bit at that when you talk about things like, I'm going to have 1 million millionaires. It's just a number. But by putting a measurement there, you actually increase your chances of getting it. What if you went for 1 million millionaires and you only got 900 of them? Well, that's 900 more than you would have if you didn't put the goal down. You know what I mean? So it's whatever you aspire to, we're all a work in progress. You know the old saying, no one ever dies with an empty in tray? We're all working towards it. So any other thoughts on chapter 3, or we'll go on to chapter 4? Yes, Vicky, please.
So quickly, I just want to say, I think some of us take on our ancestors' crap. That's one way to put it. I know I have, and I've only recently come across certain things about my ancestry I didn't quite acknowledge or know about. But because of it, it makes me want to be a better person, if that makes sense. So for me, faith is not just believing it, it's not just feeling it, it's living it. It's just who you are. it becomes you. I don't know how else to put that. Like, I have faith in, you know, the sustainable community I want to build. I have faith in my gift. I call my loss and grief work. I know it's the right path. It's in like every fiber of my being. You feel it, you know it, you believe it, you sense it. Like, you bring all your senses into it and you just know it's the right path. So I think faith, sometimes people get caught up on different aspects of feelings or different aspects of the five senses. And if you can just integrate all that, then you just know. I don't know how else to put it. You just know you're on the right path, if that makes sense.
Yes, absolutely, Vicky, you're spot on. There's a knowing that kicks in beyond a feeling. It eliminates, it overpowers the self-doubt. Now, does that mean you won't occasionally get hit with a bit of self-doubt? And of course you will get hit. We all have setbacks. Even when you've got a fantastic vision and you've got a dream and you're doing all the work, there's going to be a day when something happens and you go, oh, can I really pull this off? Yeah, I thought I could, but can I? So that's when we're all tested, and that's why we surround ourselves with a mastermind of people who believe in our ability to improve ourselves, and we encourage each other to keep going. So I just wanted to pick up on what you said there, Vicky, and relate back to, for those who haven't read it, in the chapter there, he gives a couple of examples of people who've had this faith. People like Abraham Lincoln, who tried multiple times to get into politics and failed and failed and failed, and kept going and ended up becoming one of the greatest presidents in American history. Jesus Christ, you know, I didn't need to say anything about that one. You know, there's still people talking about what he said and did how many thousand years later. He talked about Gandhi. Now, I mean, I think of people like Martin Luther King or President Mandela. You know, what they started with was a dream or a thought or a vision that they repeated and repeated in their minds. It was a dominant thought of what they were going to create. Now, when you think about where that started, what was it? Was there any way in hell that Gandhi could possibly have done what he did when he started off thinking, I'm going to unite India and I'm going to get the British Empire out of it and I'm going to make India a country in its own right again and you know, throw off the shackles. He was one man in a country of how many 100 million? What gave him the right to think that he could change that destiny of a whole country? What gave Martin Luther King the impetus to think, I can influence an entire country in how they think about racial equality and fairness for all, not just racial, but you know, discrimination of every sort, because there was all sorts of people on those marches. It wasn't just black versus white kind of thing. It was all sorts of other stuff as well. So what is it about those people? It's their faith. It's they have a dream or a vision, and then they grow it, and then they influence other people. They spread that energy around. Veronica, please.
Yeah, one of the big lessons that I've been learning through Noble Goldman, and I think it was on one of your calls, the big slap in the face hit me, was you can't do this alone. You can set your goals, but I've always thought that I did everything by myself and everything I've achieved was my own effort. But as you mentioned as well, all these people have influenced other people, and that is how they've made the changes, is being able to be an influencer of other people and to kind of engage people, collaborate.
I think it was that morning you were, a few of you were at my house, and we were working on the whiteboard, and we reignited your dream, wasn't it?
Yes. But I still I knew that I had to find other people, but it's just through, I think it was another one of your calls, actually, another Zoom, and it finally hit me that yeah, it's not, I don't have to know how to do everything. I just need to put myself out there and talk to people and engage people.
Yep. Very good.
And quickly, can I say, it doesn't come from a place of selfishness. No. It comes from a place of wanting to make a change.
Yeah.
And realizing that you can't do it alone, and being willing because not everybody is, being willing to accept, I need others to help me. You know, Kobe has a skill, you have a skill, Glenn has a skill, Tony has a skill. I can go through this whole group. We all have expertise, we all have skills that the other doesn't fully have. That to me is the power of Noble Goldman. I don't know how else to put it.
Absolutely, synergy. It's the synergy concept, not the electricity company. The concept of 1 + 1 = 3. You know, together we're able to achieve more. You get it? Okay, Kobe.
You're muted.
I have a little confusion. Sometimes a lot of confusion, but in terms of repeating the same sort of thing over and over again, there is out there, like I'm thinking about people like Greg Braden, who basically say that you've got this goal, you get still and you project it out into the ether, and this also comes from the American Indian, I think, I'm not sure, and let it go, because to repeat over and over again the same thing, it goes back to what Julie was saying, comes from lack. So Greg Braden would say, what you do is you set this goal, you get still within yourself, and you trust. That's the next step, the trust part, not the repetition. So yeah, I'm a bit confused here between what Napoleon Hill is saying and what people like Greg Braden and the American Indians are saying. Look, yes, I understand that that Napoleon Hill has looked at many very rich and successful people and based his book on that. And these people have indeed created huge empires. I'm personally not so sure about those empires that have been created. Yep, lots of money and stuff. And yes, Think and Go Rich is full of spiritual stuff. Yeah, I get that. I get all of that. But as I said, what Julie was saying about this fear factor when you're repeating something over and over again, it's almost like saying, hey, God, don't you get it? You know, I need to tell you again. You know what I mean? So I'm not sure. I just don't know. I'm only up to chapter 4. I've done chapter 4 and I understand why chapter 4 works. But as I said, the repetition thing I'm just not sure about.
Okay, I think I'd like to.
Neither am I.
I think that it comes back to that word trust, and also, well, the chapter is called faith. It's not just the repetition on its own is more like begging. It is like, you know, I want $1 million. I want $1 million. If I keep saying I want $1 million, it's going to turn up. No, you've got to actually trust that the universe will deliver that $1 million if you fully emotionalized it and you know why you want it and who you're going to help with it and what you're going to do with it and what that's going to mean and how it's going to impact on not just you, but people around you, your family, or even complete strangers that you want to help. Whatever your cause, it's about turning just a desire into a cause, into a burning desire to really want to make something happen for good reasons, for reasons that he mentions. So we're going into chapter 4 now.
But can't you do the same thing to set that intention, to put it out there, and then in your daily actions, without repeating the goals and stuff, but you've embodied it, and in your daily actions, go about making it happen? That's kind of, I don't know.
Okay, I think yes, you can, But that is, if the more you believe in yourself, so we go back to the self-love thing again, when you
Yes,
have,
this is the
when
whole
you,
thing. It's
it is,
about feeling deserving of
it
it
is, and that's why you need, if
and
you
making
feel
that
that you deserve,
space for it to come in.
yes. So the more you work on yourself and the more you feel you can deserve it, yeah, maybe I don't think that you do have to go back and repeat these things like parrot
Mindlessly.
fashion, you know, just like you're learning your times tables at school or something. Yeah, it's going to help though. If you've not been doing any work on yourself, this gives you at least the tools to get started.
Yes.
So
yes.
the more you do that when you first start out, I think the more, if you follow those instructions, you will instill in yourself a self-belief that whatever I set my mind to achieving, I can achieve. If I can conceive it and believe it, I can achieve it. And the more you've got that lodged in your brain, the less you have to parrot fashion follow these instructions. It's like, you know, when you're learning to drive and they tell you, you know, put both hands on the steering wheel here and you've got to look in the mirror and then check this and then you've got to do that. And that's the way you do it to pass the test, right? And then you see the person driving along doing their hair and their makeup and, you know, whatever. Perhaps that's why there's so many accidents. I don't know. Glenn can talk more about that. Probably he's the car man. But we become able to do things on autopilot, don't we? But when you first start, you need those specific instructions. So that's how I interpret what Napoleon Hill is giving you the specific instructions. If you do this way, this will get you into that flow where you can do it on autopilot. Would that be a fair way?
I get it. Yep, I understand that and I accept that. Yep, totally. Cool.
So going into chapter 4 is more about repeating the whole concept of the power of auto-suggestion. So the chapter's called auto-suggestion. So it's why, if you've never done any of this stuff, if you still are filled with self-doubt and not sure about whether you can achieve things or not, at least start with writing out what it is that you want. If you don't know what you want, how are you going to get it? You're going to get whatever comes along, aren't you? You're just going to get whatever the universe throws at you. But if you know what you want, you don't need to know straight away. And it says in this one, you don't necessarily need to know straight away what it is how you're going to get what you want. But what you do need to do is know that if you want a reward, it comes with a price. And the price may be that you've got to put some effort in, or you've got to give up some of your time to gain the time, or you've got to invest some money to make the money. You know, if you want to start a business to make money, you've got to put some money in to start with, haven't you? And you've got to put some extra time in to get it up and running. So there's always a price that comes with any achievement, any effort. Okay, I see there's a couple of hands. Coralie, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, actually that saying about the reward and the price thing, that just freaks me out. I hear that and I'm like, I don't know, what's the price? Is it too high? And, you know, freak out about that. But I was just going to say about with the auto suggestion and stuff, I made a Power Life script for myself. And so it's 1 minute and 15 seconds long, and I recorded it on my phone. And I listened to it over and over on my way home from work, and I love it. And I don't know if I, you know, tick all the boxes of visualizing hard enough or whatever, but I end it with saying life is good and so it is. And I just can't hear that without smiling to myself. So it's only a step on the way to, you know, being as amazing as you should be. Well, that's how I feel about it anyway, for this book, to be able to actually do all the things in it. But yeah, that's my sort of baby step in between, make it easier for me.
It's a big step, Coralie, because you're putting yourself, I think it was Julie said, you're creating a space to receive. If you are present and you start with gratitude for what you have, it's then okay to want more. You know, it doesn't make you a bad person to want more than what you have, but start with being grateful for what you do have. You know, I mean, the fact that we can even read this book, we all can read. We're in a country where we're literate. We're able to buy the book. We're able to have Zoom calls and learn from each other. There's so much to be grateful for, and that's what it starts with. And so that puts you into a positive upward spiral of positive emotion and positive vibration. If you can start with gratitude, and then you can work on the next level up, you know. And we're all combating those negative self-thoughts that come up. I don't know anyone. You could even go and talk to Gandhi, and if you could, if he was still alive, you know, Gandhi or Lincoln or Mandela or any of those people, do you think they didn't doubt themselves? They had to work on themselves. Everyone does. That's human. So then he goes on to talk about, that's a good starting point, is finding the quiet spot. So in at the end of this chapter, he's saying 3 things that reinforce what he talked about in the 6 points in chapter 2, which was finding a quiet spot where you read this statement aloud of what you want to achieve, and emotionalize it and repeat it, because like I said, that's the instructions, the detailed instructions to get you into the flow of doing it automatically on your, you know, being a, what is it, a unconscious competent. So
that reminds me,
trust that overcomes skepticism, he says in this. Yep.
I was just going to say, Tony,
hand up, or was that from before?
No, that was me. Just sorry. I was just going to say that reminds me of a few times I can remember listening to Abraham Hicks, where she does this absolute this whole dialogue of absolute beautiful feelings, sayings, positive, and you know, by the end of that you've listened to that, your whole body is just floating, you know. I don't know whether anybody experienced, she calls them something, it's like a you know, just comes and comes and comes and comes, and it's just full of beauty. And you know, you can feel yourself just get caught in that, and nothing, there's no room for anything negative, you know. It's just all beauty and wonder and space. Yeah,
good.
But that takes some practice, I think, and yeah, and other people too to help. Yeah.
Would a couple of people who haven't spoken yet maybe like to add something, or whatever you've learned?
Kim has had her hand up, Tony.
Sorry?
Dr. Kim's got her hand up.
Is that still relevant, or I think she maybe didn't take it down from before?
No, I took it down. I do have something to add, if you don't mind.
Yep, sure.
I'm thinking of something I hear Russ Devan say quite often, which is when he gives his perspective, he says, this is not the truth. This is something I found valuable, and I invite you to try it on. And my personal view is that there are an infinite number of ways to an extraordinary life. There are an infinite number. And Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill, is one of those infinite ways. And we can all think of, 12 steps and all kinds of different programs and all kinds of different perspectives. And each are valid, and they may not work for us. So I'm suggesting, I've learned to keep my mind open to take it in and see what works for me, let go of what doesn't, and not think that there's just one way and I have to hitch my wagon to that one star, because we're infinite, and I think the divine gives us infinite ways for the extraordinary life.
Excellent. Your mind is like a parachute, no use unless it's open. Very good. Thank you, Dr. Kim. That's a great pickup.
Thank you.
Yes, I mean, he is, at the end of the day, this is a human being who's written a book. You can push back, you can challenge things, and you can interpret it. Take what works for you out of the book and apply that, and maybe take a bit from another book. Or there's so many positive books that we're reading. This is why we're doing this work on investigating the work of multiple authors, not just Napoleon Hill. But it has stood the test of time. There's no doubt about that it works for a lot of people. Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work for you, or that parts of it may not work for you, but you adapt it to suit yourself and your individual personality and your way of doing things. Did any of the others want to contribute that haven't said anything this morning yet? Maybe Glenn or Joe or Julia? Joe, sure.
Sure, I'll say a little something. Obviously, I came in late, so I'm not fully sure what you guys were talking about when I first came in. But as I'm sitting here listening to you guys, I'm thinking to myself, all of these things they're discussing are steps that I have taken to get to where I am at this point in life, to find that unconditional love for self, to live that happier life, to have that abundance that I have now. And I know I've finally, you know, the other day I downloaded the book on Audible, and I got to start listening to it. But like just hearing this conversation you guys are having today, it's really got me excited to hear the book and go through it, and not only with what I didn't know, but know, like the learning of what other input he's going to put or I'm going to gain from his input on, you know, in the book. So I'm really excited to, you know, continue moving forward. I need to get off my butt and start listening to the book so I can, you know, fully grasp everything that is in this book, the teachings and all of that. So, I mean, just kind of shocking that not knowing the book, not reading the book, but knowing the steps I've been taking have worked. So I kept improving upon them. And, you know, for a while I didn't have mentors or Noble Goldman or the Quantum Elite to help guide me. That, you know, that came when I basically asked for help, like something I never really did before. So this, you know, moving into that whole, you can do it better with, you know, multiple people in your life rather than going slow and alone. So yeah, just really enjoying the conversation so far.
That's excellent. Thanks, Joe. And that's a great point. That often when we read something like this or we discuss something like this, it at least validates what we may have already done. And you go, ah, that makes sense now. That's why what I did there worked. And then you know to do it again. So, you know, thinking about what you have done, it can be a useful pointer for future direction. I think it's a great point also that Vicky's put in the chat box there. You know, look at the time of when this book was written. How much of it is our world different now to what it was then? And therefore we have to change and adapt with the times. It's a shame he's not still around. I could write an updated version. Maybe we should all get our heads together and do it. But, you know, the technology changes. The fact that we can have a mastermind so easily just by creating this and putting, you know, getting in touch with each other from all around the world, that wasn't available to him back then. His idea of a mastermind was getting a bunch of industrialists together in a room and going, hey, what can we do? Let's create the Steel Corporation. That's what they did in chapter 4, by the way. So there's quite a bit of that story in there about how they did all that. Was it chapter 3, chapter 4? I can't remember now anyway. But it was all the whole history of the US Steel Corporation, how it was founded.
Chapter 3, I think.
Yeah. Okay. So who else? Glenn, did you want to add anything?
Yeah, I've just been sitting, listening. It wasn't really, I woke up very early this morning and noisy neighbours, noisy cats fight, and I woke up thinking, oh, I don't want to do anything today. But listening to the ladies and gents on this call, I'm glad that I started a few things probably years gone by now, where I set the intention before I get out of bed. If I feel grumpy and my feet hit the floor landing grumpy, I know I'll have a shocking day, and a few people around me will have that horrible day as well. So I made that. So I listened to Tony and I have got a mutual friend who does a radio show. It's quite early here on a Friday morning, and he's a scream. So I listened to him for about an hour or so before I got out of bed, and it changed my mind completely. And it is just those little things that I do now consistently that change my outlook on my day. And things have started to change for me dramatically in the last probably 6 months. And I now, the way I travel to work, what I do when I get there, and I do several jobs, and I'm volunteering at the moment out at a motor museum, which is heaven for me. The cars around me are like multi-million-dollar vehicles, and I'm thinking, yeah, that's great. But there was once upon a time where I would have looked back and go, oh, you know, they were lucky they did that, whatever else. But now I'm going, well, no, one day I can do that. One day I know I can have that, and I can stand next to that $700,000 supercar and go, I could see myself sitting in that one day, not too far away. And it's just my intention now that I just get changed all the time. And if I get myself into a negative situation or someone says something, I just either don't answer or I just leave the room. or just go, you know, that's not the way to behave in that situation. So it is just that practice for me now. I think probably 2 years ago or longer, I did write things down and start doing it parrot fashion and thought nothing's happening, and then you just sort of let it go for a bit. And then now all I keep seeing popping up for me in different things that I do is just trust the process, whether it is day-to-day stuff or business or businesses that I'm involved in. Things will come because my intention is set pretty clearly and a very positive intention, and I don't let the negativity, I don't react to it. Just, you know, either try and turn it into a positive situation and just move on from that. So it does come. It does. So, but this has been a great call this morning, yeah, just to hear some different points of view and see some people I haven't seen for a while as well, and new people. So thanks.
That's an excellent addition there. Thanks for that, Glenn. I'm just going to mention that we are at time, so if anyone needs to go, feel free to go. There's no judgment or anything. I just wanted to pick up on what Glenn just said there. The very last words of chapter 4 are, every adversity, every failure, and every heartache carries with it the seed of an equivalent or a greater benefit. So when you're struggling and when you're full of self-doubt, it's hard to see the next peak of the mountain, you know. But as you climb one part of it, you can then scale. You can see the next peak ahead of you. So, you know, we're going through a series of growth spurts, if you like, you know, like you do in nature. You know, like the short kid at school that suddenly gets tall. So we all have that. We grow at different speeds, you know, and we grow emotionally and mentally at different speeds too. So when you're ready for the next lesson, when you're ready for the next thing to come along, you pick up that lesson that, you know, that when the student is ready, the teacher appears. So we are all a work in progress. Just before we do wind up, who else haven't we heard from? Julia, would you like to add anything to what you've heard today?
No, I just say thanks for having me, and it's been a great discussion, but I don't have anything to add. I think it's all been said. And not having read this book for quite some time, I need a refresher.
Well, if nothing else, we've inspired you to go back and have another look then. That's good. Stan, are you still there? I'm calling on when someone doesn't have their photo up, you think maybe they're busy doing something else, but might be looking after his kids or something, getting them ready for school. Okay, so has anyone else got any last thoughts that they want to tie up the chapter 4 with?
Actually, yes. If I remember rightly, chapter 4 was also about repeating these affirmations and goals and things like that, but without necessarily knowing how it was going to happen. But that was more about creating the faith within us to connect with the unconscious mind, and the unconscious mind will then, when you've embodied it and the unconscious mind accepts it, will show us opportunities where we can make it happen. And that was, what was that called again, Tony? You know, chapter 4, I've forgotten what the heading was, but basically it's repeating these things over and over.
Auto-suggestion.
Auto-suggestion, convincing, so that the unconscious mind actually believes it. And then from there, the unconscious mind projects an idea or something that will enable us then to seize it and make it happen. Is that right?
Yeah, and it's like a muscle. You know, the more you use it, the more it works.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I challenge you, all of you, to find that parking space next time you're going into the car park, and it will appear. We say every time, come on, parking fairy, we need that parking space, and just then somebody pulls out and in we go. It happens every time, because Joe and I are both full of all this, you know, like we've done this so much. I'm such a great believer in creative visualization, that whatever you really believe that you want to achieve, and you're doing it for the right reasons,
Yeah.
and you're willing to pay the price, and you follow these sort of, make it your dominant thought, and believe it with passion and energy and enthusiasm, and you can go and do anything. So guys, figure out what you want, and we'll be back next week to talk about chapters 5 and 6. So for those who haven't read it yet, try and catch up if you can, but look, if you haven't quite caught up, don't worry, just turn up anyway, because as you've heard this morning, you'll still get a summary of what's been discussed in that chapter, and you'll get everyone's thoughts and ideas on it. And thank you all so much for your amazing contributions this morning. It's been great. And I'm sorry we didn't get to hear from Stan, but I think we heard from everybody else at some point. Thank you so much. Have an awesome week. Stay safe out there.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
See you guys.
Bye.
Later. Bye.